Oh, look at the kitty. Oh, look at the kitty. He's so cute. Thought that I was recording that whole time. Oh my god. Wow. What a bonehead move. If you guys saw the last video, you'll see this is where the bike was left off. Now, I was supposed to have a transmission by now, and I don't. That's because the guy I was gonna get the transmission from sold it, so that whole deal fell through. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to get a transmission. I made a video for my Patreon, and I asked them what I should do. And what it came down to is basically, I ordered a transmission. The transmission should be here Friday. It might be a little late with the weather. So, if the transmission gets here in time to where I feel comfortable swapping it, that's what we're gonna do. If it gets here too late and I don't feel like I can swap it in time, we're just gonna stick the bike back together, all clean except for the transmission, and send it in Texas, worry about the transmission when we come back. Today, we're gonna do an oil pan mod on this mold. But here's the twist. It's cold outside. It's very, very cold outside. It is 7 degrees outside, and the feels like is -8. Even with this little heater on right here, they go, oh my god, there's snow in here. I didn't even notice that. I noticed it, I just wasn't recording like an idiot. Even with that little heater on, it is still 26 degrees out here in the garage. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna drop the transmission, or no, I'm gonna drop the oil pan. I'm gonna clean it up real nice with the with brake cleaner, all that, and then we're taking the oil pan inside the house, and we're gonna do the oil pan mod inside the house where it's nice and warm, because I'm tired of this cold, man. The camera battery's dead. Whew. That thing is cracked. It is grooved too. Got some nice grooves in it. It's missing a whole chunk out of here. Got a big old crack all the way through it. Quality. Quality. Some quality part right there. This next bit requires 2 hands, and I can't really put my phone on a tripod, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it done real quick. It's the next day. I gave up last night. That's why we're at the next day. A whole primary off, thanks to Kevin. He brought his big boy tools over here. The reason I quit last night and I didn't even pick the camera back up was because the oil pan, this is the last oil pan bolt right here. Last one. And it's like ½ an inch between that and the frame, so it's hard to get to. So I wanted to get this out of the way. To get that out of the way, you have to remove the exhaust, and we needed to remove the exhaust anyway to get to the transmission so we can pull the transmission out. Well, taking the exhaust off, I happily snapped off a stud inside the block right there. I just dropped everything. I shut the lights off. I went inside where it was warm. But I took an Allen key. We cut it real short, it fits in there, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this last bolt, get the oil pan dropped, go inside where it's warm, and hopefully finish up this oil pan mod. We're gonna go ahead and get this sprocket nut off of here because that thing is always a bitch to get off, so progress. We are inside where it's warm. Where it's warm, puppy. Where it's warm. Oh, oh. What? Here we have the oil pan. So if you guys are interested on how to do this, if you're comfortable doing this, I don't want anybody messing up their bike. Disclaimer right there. This is what I'm doing to my bike. You don't have to do this to your bike, but if you're curious on how to do the oil pan mod, this is what we're gonna do. We've got a 1/4 inch tap, and then we've got a 6-inch tube with 1/4 inch threads on the end. If you can find one without threads on the other end, that's fine. I don't see how it'll be a problem. What this is gonna do is, this is the back of your oil pan, this is the front of your oil pan. That hole right there, that's your oil pickup. So when your bike is riding and your pan's sitting flat, your oil's in here, it's pulled up. Your pickup right here is pulling that oil in. Now, if you're in a wheelie, your oil pan, especially if you're 12 o'clocking with these Harleys, your oil pan's like this, which means all your oil is pulling up at the bottom here, but your pickup is up here. It's not gonna be picking up the oil that's sitting down here at the bottom. So we're tapping this hole so that we can thread this tube in there, and you can see the tube will be sitting down here, your pickup will be down here. So when you're up in a wheelie and your oil is pulled all at the back of the pan, it's gonna be getting picked up by this tube, and it will still push it up where it needs to be in the motor, keep your motor from starving itself too much. Trying to get it just a little bit worked in there. You get those teeth biting a little bit. You want to try to make it as straight as possible, obviously. Basically, I'm just trying to get these teeth to start to grab their way in there while keeping the tap straight. And you want to take it slow. These taps, again, they're very brittle, but that means they're made out of a pretty hard metal. And this is an aluminum pan, so it's gonna cut fairly easy, but you still wanna take your time. You wanna kinda cut into it, back off a little bit. Ooh, I'd say them are some pretty good threads. See how this thread's in there? That'll do pretty good. I need to clean those threads really good, which is something you definitely want to do before you put all this together. After you've cut the threads, you're comfortable with them, test fit it, make sure it works, all that. But you want to clean not only this really well, but you want to clean this really well, because you just cut threads, you just cut a lot of metal, and that's in there, and it's in your pickup. You do not want that sucking up through. Not healthy for the bike. I'm gonna go flush this out and clean it real good with some brake clean on them threads. Clean this tube really good. We'll be back with some red Loctite. All right, we got our oil pan, we got our 6-inch tube, got our red Loctite, and we've got a little bit of our Dignity left. Obviously, this is something that you don't plan on ever taking out of the pan. This isn't a part that you're gonna be taking on and off all the time. You really can't go wrong using too much Loctite. But that being said, you don't wanna overdo it because you don't want any remains of Loctite being able to get sucked up into the tube. Get some channel locks. Just lightly, you gotta be careful on this part. You just wanna lightly just get it snugged up pretty good. Obviously there's no part on this tube to get like a wrench or anything on there, which is probably a good thing because, you know, you're putting a steel tube into aluminum threads that you just cut. So you don't want to strip that thing out. Just enough of a bite on there to make sure the thing's snugged up, it's tight, it's in there. And yeah, there's an oil pan mod. If you're not comfortable doing this, don't. Have somebody else do it, or send your pan to Dallas, 35 cycles, let him do it. He's done them plenty, trust me, he knows what he's doing on this. If anybody's interested, again, this is a 1/4-inch tap. That's the tap right there. And then the tube is a 6-inch tube with obviously 1/4-inch threads on the end of it. What are you talking about, dude? I'm just kidding. I like this guy, he's funny. Huge shout out to all my Patreons. You guys are awesome. Thank you everybody else so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.